How much can you overexpose film? Something I Googled the other day and couldn't really find an answer, so I have to take this one into my own hands. Here I have a series of shots on Portra 400 that I took on the roof from normal exposed to way overexposed. This is the first shot. This is one stop under exposed. This is f16 at 1/1000th. Everything was metering at f11. I'm scanning this with a Hasselblad X2D. I'm in Hasselblad's software Focus, and the histogram just happens to be in the middle here, which is what I want. And basically the way that I will look at this is kind of to just bring the highlights up to below clipping and bring the shadows down to just above being crushed. And we will go to accurately exposed image. This is an f11 at 1/1000th. This is looking good and natural. I'm gonna go 3 stops up. 1, 2, 3. Would I ever shoot a shot that's metering an f11 at 3 stops over? I don't know. Maybe if I didn't have a light and I wanted to film somebody with a bright background. So I'm gonna just warm it up a little bit, and I'm gonna bring the exposure down. I'm just gonna do everything in the histogram. So this is 3 stops over. Easily enough detail in here. What should we go to next? I guess it might make sense to go to 6 stops overexposed. So this is 3, 4, 5, 6. 6 stops overexposed. Still a lot of detail in here. Let's see what happens when we push it around a little bit. Looking pretty good. What is this down here? I've been letting this film just fly all over the place, so it's getting a little dirty, but 6 stops over is looking good. This would be a scenario where out there is metering an f16 and I'm metering an f2.8, which might be accurate in this scene that we're in right now. And that is a 5-stop difference. And on Portra 400, that would be fine because I am seeing a 6-stop difference here and the image is totally within that range. The film can handle that range. The issue is how much the color changes. This is our accurately exposed image. This is 6 stops over. There's a color difference here. But if I am an actor talking in a scene right here or a model getting my photograph taken, how much would it really matter if out there had a color shift because it was a little bit overexposed and in here looked normal? Wouldn't matter too much. Okay, moving on, I will go to, not straight to 10, maybe we'll go to 8 stops over. So this is 6, 7, 8. This is 8 stops overexposed. 8 stops over, things get a little tricky. You can see around the edge here, it's probably just because light is coming through the top of this and kind of through the sides, so there might be some things that happen around the edge here. It's very interesting to me that being 8 stops overexposed, you can see all of the detail here, and I would maybe say I'll pull some of the red out of the shadows, like if I go to the curves, get rid of a little bit of the red in the shadows. That's cool. It's pretty crazy to me, actually. I've even thought before, like, can you even overexpose film? Or can you get it to the point where you can't see anything? Yes, you can, and this is getting to the point where the image is experiencing changes that you might not want. And if you're scanning it at home, do you really want to scan it at 2 seconds long where you're worried about light coming in from elsewhere? Not really, so why would you ever do that? Moving on, I'll go to 10 stops over. So that was 8, 9, 10... Resetting. I'm going to turn the curve off. I'll keep it there, but I'm just going to disable it here for a minute and then default. I'll bring this exposure down. Okay, so this is where things get interesting. I'm going to move this to daylight. It's very blue. I will go into Sidus Link and see if I can equalize this a little bit with the light. Yes, I can. I'm on here in the color mode, and I have a saturation of only 52 and a hue of 200. For Portra 400, which is an orange stock, being around a 190 to 215 hue is a good inversion of that for this light to reduce the blue that you could see right here. Okay, this might be good enough. Yeah, I think this will be enough for us to have room in here. 10 stops over, and we'll do the same thing. Wow. 10 stops overexposed. Here's a shot out the window here at normal exposure and at 10 stops overexposed on a digital camera. A good digital camera at that. All right, let's go to 10, 11, 12. 6-second exposure. You can see the stray light in there right now. It's a little green, so I'm going to add a little green. Get a good white balance with still room. Pull some red out of the shadows and see what this looks like. This might just be like me scraping around the film and getting it a little bit dirty. I'm just going to move on to 13 stops just to make sure. I don't know exactly what we're seeing right there. Okay, definitely better, but we still have weird stuff going on up here. And what I really think it is the light kind of coming through the negative here and around. It's always happening on the edge of the frame. I think it's just like light leaking around on top of the negative. We can still see detail of the city here. Also, this is a 6.3 second exposure, and if you look at the live, you can see it's moving around a little. That's just New York City. And I have an extension tube and a lens adapter. The stabilization is not working as it would work if you had a like native XCD lens on here. The loss in like sharpness is not necessarily due to the film being so overexposed. Maybe a little bit. It's more that the camera's like moving around like this. If I had a matte that was smaller and cut into the image more, maybe this would not happen. 13 stops overexposed, 14, 15, 16. Yeah, that's the last one. You can see that there's not much here. But when the film gets overexposed in a scene like this, which is not that high of a dynamic range scene, everything gets kind of pushed up into the high end. So you can pull that, like stretch it apart a little bit, but it's getting so stretched apart that it's a little hard to see. So this is 16 stops overexposed. I'm really wanting this 16 stops over to work, but that's a lot of stops over. I also have another shot that was more backlit. Oh, this is crazy. The shot directly before this was the 16 stops overexposed shot. That shot would be over here to the left of this shot, and it let so much light into the camera that it got onto the next frame. And this was the accurately exposed shot. So I'm just going to go to the next one, which will be one stop over. And the light is still like way blue, but I think it's okay. Okay, one stop over, a lot of flexibility. I'll go to 2, 3, 4, 5. 5 stops over, still looking nice. 6, 7, we didn't look at 7 last time. I'll look at 7 here. 7 stops over. This is why I prefer to scan stills film at home. Like with this exact setup, X2D, crazy flexible, amazing camera for scanning and all of these tools. And also, we're only taking like a quarter of the sensor, so you could get a setup that gets the film to take up more. Or if you shoot medium format, it would take up more of the frame. If using this lens, a 120 Zeiss. That's 7. We'll go 11 because we didn't do 11 last time. 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. 11 stops overexposed. This is cool. 13 stops over. It looks like we're missing details, but yeah, it's not so nice. More detail, more hazy looking. Doing this test with motion picture film takes a lot more time and money, but I will put that on this channel. Also, the difference is I have a lot of control here where I can adjust the light and adjust the exposure of the camera, where on motion picture film, you're not going to be scanning every frame at home. And you're up to what the lab will do. The scans from the labs are unbelievably amazing, and you have a lot of flexibility within that image, but it's a slightly different, it's slightly different than this. So I will show that on the channel. Stay tuned for that. And if you haven't checked out F1, you should check that out. All right, peace. There are a bunch of elements of shooting on film that are tricky, but it's a really great process and great look. It's also helped me in my digital workflow. It has the basis of the creation of F1, and through the insights that I gain, I want to share them on this channel selfishly because I believe that it could help those that are watching this that might not have much experience shooting on film or that have never shot on film before. It can help you to push to shoot something on film. And I'm definitely speaking in motion picture film. I know that I looked at stills film here, but I'm talking about shooting motion picture film, and that's where I'll go with this. But if I can share the insights that I've gained and the techniques that might help push someone to feel more comfortable shooting on film, that could help make it more of a norm and thus help me to shoot more film. So that's the goal here.